Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and I want to share the Alphabet a la mode dies with you. They will be coming in the new mini catalog starting January 5th, although you can add them to your starter kit starting in December for the pre-order. I had the honor of presenting this and 3 background stamp sets at Onstage recently, so I'm going to show you my samples, but also this is not actually why we're here today. The Global Stampin video hop is featuring Christmas projects, 3D home decor, and I decided to use these to make the cutest little things. So stay with me for just a few moments and I will get down to it. Now, one of my samples I actually don't have anymore because people loved it so much that they asked for it. And me being me, I gave it to them. So there were 3 background stamps, like I mentioned. The watercolor world is one of them. So I did this cute little smoky slate and then ombre map. This was twine that we had to use as well. And then my second card I don't have. But I used the Hello and Thanks embossing folder, added some white, which I haven't done on here, stamped my dots in white, and made a cute little thank you card. This was my third card. Layered stripes made a perfect Google map, in my opinion, so I created that in the background, just added follow your dreams in the front, and voila. So we were allowed to show a couple of extra samples. This one I feel like it's not quite finished. It needs a happy on there somewhere, but I think it's super cute nonetheless. There is this one that's a love shaker card. So this alphabet is tall and slender. It's gorgeous. You could have so many letters that go across, and yet I didn't. And then this little sample. So I don't know if you can see the N. It's stamped off. It still has the compass on it. And then that watercolor world stamp in the background. And then this cute little one. It's perfect for layering as well. So I die cut my little rainbow. And that's all. So with this wonderful die set comes some numbers. So what I'm going to show you is an advent countdown calendar. So this idea is not mine. It's from Sam from Mixed Up Craft. And I will link to her video that shows her whole process for the measurements and all of that jazz. But I am going to show you the assembly and how I decorated mine. So let's get down to it. I've just got to show you this first. Okay, so here is my first box. So we've got 1, 2, and then I will show you, actually Sam's video shows you as well, because I thought I'm not going to go through this nonsense with you, but on one box you're going to have both boxes. So on both boxes you're going to have 0, 1, and 2. On one box you're going to have 7, 8, and 6, 9. So your 6 needs to work as a 9 as well because there isn't enough space for it otherwise. And then the other one is going to be 3, 4, 5. So this is my 6, 7, 8, 9 box. So we've got 0, and I have used the Santa Express DSP. I haven't used much of this, so I have tons of it left. Actually, not tons. Okay, and then if we move to our 6, I put a candy cane on either side so that it can be 6 or 9. And then we've got number 7, which is wearing a cute little Santa hat. And number 8, which has some jingle bells. So I added some adhesive sheet to the back of my white glimmer paper, and I have already gone ahead and done that, so we don't need to suffer through that. So we've got a 0, 1, 2. And I have already gone ahead and I've cut all of my DSP. So everything is going to be the same as it was on the first one. I highly recommend using your directional paper for your 0, 1, and 2, which is what I did here. So 0 has the gifts, 1 has the ho ho ho, and 2 has the fa la la. So we can do that again, and those would go on here. Now in Sam's video, she talks about using 8.5 by 12 inch paper. I didn't have that, but she mentions that you can add a scrap that's like, I think it was an inch, and you score it in half, and then you just add this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a tab for the top, and it just wouldn't work. So before I go ahead and assemble this, I want to add my panels of DSP and then do all of that gluing and everything before I start putting it together. It's just so much easier that way. So I'm going to put my ho 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 there, my fa la la here. And like I said, all of these measurements are on Sam's video, so I'm not going to recreate the wheel. I'm just going to send you to her. I hope that's okay, because if you haven't come across mixed up craft, you're missing out. These ones, doesn't really matter where they go. I am going to keep my shaded spruce on the ends. They're going to be matted, so it won't just melt in there. And then with my circles, I use the Celebrations tag dies, which are retiring. I can't believe the stamp set is carrying forward, but the dies are retiring. I can't believe it. But this is what those dies look like. If you're not aware, I'm going to miss them so much. It was just the perfect stitch circle that I needed. Okay, now when you go to adhere the tabs on your box, you can choose whether you want to use tear and tape or liquid glue. I am going to use tear and tape because I don't love when liquid glue, because I have used too much, gushes out. Follow Mikaela Titheridge, but she had the cutest little Santa project this last week, and I so want to case it. So. I want my Take Your Pick tool. So now we're just going to go ahead and start adhering these. I'm going to take off the tear and tape on both sides, and we're just going to fold as we go. I don't want to release all of that adhesive right now. We're just going to go one side at a time. Give it a little burnish. Okay, and then fold these in. Make sure that they're not going to work against you. So I think when I am done prepping everything that I'm prepping, I had Festivity delivered that was using the Jingle 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 bundle stamp set. I had Gnome Bingo that I was prepping for, and now I am working on a custom card order. Now, I will tell you this is actually supposed to be on that end, but I didn't notice until it was too late, and I'm like, meh, it's a tab, it'll work. So cross your fingers. So this is the only time that we're going to remove adhesive from more than 2 tabs at a time, because these two need to tuck in and that one needs to go under. Okay. Actually, that worked a lot better than having the tab on the other side. Okay, so there's our cute little box. It may not be 100% perfect, but I'm telling you, whoever gets this is going to love it. Love, love, love. Okay, so now, oh, I was thinking I should have done the numbers before I put it together, but nope. Okay, so I'm going to lay them out the way I need to adhere them. So we've got a big T. So the 0, 1, and 2 have to go on the top, like I said. So these, with that adhesive sheet on there, is just like a sticker. It pretty much goes from one edge of the stitching to the other. Okay, so on our gifts, we are going to add our 0. I'm just using liquid glue for this, so it gives me Oops, a little bit of wiggle room. It's probably way more than we need. Okay, so 0. So the little gift that's on there, I'll explain as I go. The little gift that's on there is from the Spruced Up bundle. I was just looking for cute little things that would work. So it's this one here. I thought about using the ornaments and those types of things, but no. This is from the Yeti to Party, and I was going to use the gifts from there, but they were a little too thick. So I just used the tree from this one. So that is going to be number 1. And you can see I have all those pieces stamped. I'm just not going to fussy cut them while you're watching. So it should be fairly easy to center them. It's almost too bad I didn't change this, because on day 11 you would have both of them, but too late. So number 2, I've got the gingerbread man from Handmade Wishes. So this little guy, I did stamp one of these hearts, but I chose not to use it. So this is number 2. And then the rest of them are from Jingle Jingle Jingle, because it was just so cute. Now, typically with an advent calendar, you're gonna start counting when there's like 25 days, right? So you will have a 22, you will have an 11. So if you would prefer to have it where your pieces don't align, then just mix them up a little bit. Okay, so here's 6. We're gonna go to the top, and we'll put number 3 up here. Doesn't really matter which way they're facing, because you can turn them however you'd like. But that is why I suggested that those directional ones be on the 0, 1, and 2. Okay, and then number 4. There's no rhyme or reason. This is easier when you do it before you assemble it all. Okay, so the Santa hat is from Jingle Jingle Jingle. You will notice though, if you stamp that one, that it doesn't fill in the entire hat. I used my Poppy Parade Stampin' Blend to fill in the rest. 7 and then 8 is actually upside down, but that's okay. So number 8 is using the jingle bells and the little bow. So I cut out 1 and then 2. I didn't stamp them and mask them. They're layered. So, and then 9, 6 and 9 both have the candy canes, like I said. So, in Sam's video, she also has the holder and the background. So I've gone ahead and I've already done my little holder. It's not perfect. I ended up cutting off one of my tabs and now I can't even tell where it is, but there's this, oh, there it is. So this is gonna go in the back. You can stamp something on here that says days until. The alphabet would probably do, but in her video, she gives the dimensions to do this little backing. So you've got the tabs on the bottom and the back, and then there you go. And she suggests cutting them from the top to the bottom, which is cute, but it doesn't come all the way to the front. You can see hopefully you can see where I marked it to cut it. So I thought, so I went to the back of the Designer Series paper and used the scrap. Now my score line did end up a little bit off. I'd say 11.5. So I scored it at 8 and 5/8, and then 2 and 7/8. So 2 and 7/8, and I've already forgotten what this one was, and 8 and 5/8. So you need it to fit around that base. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cover it because I don't want this showing. So we'll use some of the DSP. Now right now this is upside down. I want that one piece at the back, because you want it to look finished. Now I only cut a little bit of a slant because I want the boxes to kind of be tucked in here. So this is It's 2 7/8, so let's go 2 3/4 by 5 7/8 for our DSB. So 5 7/8, and we have 2 3/4 times 2, and we'll have to gauge our slant on there. If you're doing this at the same time as you've prepped this, then you would have that piece there. So our middle is 5 3/4, so we will do 5 5.5. Let's see, will it fit? I think it's just right. It doesn't need to go all the way to the bottom. Let's go 5 5/8. It's just a smidge over that mark that I put. I'm gonna go for it. So we'll add some glue. Make sure you have it on the right way before you adhere it. I don't know why I still have my trimmer in there, other than I need to do my slant here. So with this one, I am going to line it up here, and then with a pencil, I am just going to trace this, and then we'll cut both at the same time. So I will take that, line it up on that in the well, and cut that off. We may need a little bit off of the bottom, so I'm going to take, let's take about 3/8 of an inch off. And then I'm also thinking it's a little wide right now, and I've got this ugly squared off part, so let's take that off. There we go. So it ends up being five and just under 5.5, like a squidge under 5.5 by 2 and we're getting all these 2 5/8, and then you're just going to trace that and cut it off. Now obviously if you want yours to go all the way to the bottom, you're going to have your piece just a little bit longer. Because I've already wasted some Poppy Parade and it feels like such a shame. I'm trying to kind of camouflage the fact that I had scored in the wrong place. You could also put some cardstock or DSP on the back side. And then look at that. So we will use some tear and tape on this part. I'm going to put it right on the box itself. Put 2 little strips. Who else struggles with tear and tape? Okay, we'll put it all along the back. I'm just gonna do 1 strip there. I feel like the sides are gonna get a little more beaten up than maybe the back will. So then, there you go, and you can stamp your days until. You can put a cute little scene up here. Okay, so I decided I better finish it. So I've got some DSP on the sides. I've stamped my days left. So we've got 13 days left, according to this. We've got Believe in the Magic, and I am just going to show you a couple of steps from the case of Mikaela. So I am bringing in 2 little bundles. Nothing's better than. And we are going to stamp the cookie. And then we're going to use this as our glass of milk, like she did, because she's a genius. So we need this one, but we're not going to stamp the bottom, or we'll just fussy cut it off. But how stinking cute. And now she also did a carrot for the reindeer, and then the cutest little Santa letter. They are adorable. So I'm going to use a little bit of crumb cake for my cookie. So I'm going to use some crumb cake cardstock with some early espresso ink for our cookie. So I'm just using some Post-it tape to keep that down. For the glass of milk, we're actually going to do that on some vellum because, I mean, it's a glass. So I am going to stamp that in some Coastal Cabana. And then I will set it with my heat tool. Now I'm actually just going to try and ink up the bottom here, and then I'll wipe any ink off, but I can always fussy cut any extra away. Okay? Oh, it's so cute! And then we'll die cut some milk, which I know sounds ridiculous, but there's the milk. So we'll do that. It has bubbles, because why not? And then we need the little letter. So that one comes from Full of Love. I know this is so many stamp sets, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it. I'm just going to use this little scrap of basic white because I'm going to be cutting just the envelope. So we shall use, I'm going to be lazy and use a very small block for that. We will use, let's do Smoky Slate. I could probably use Pool Party, but there we go. And I will fussy cut that. We'll color the little stamp. I may have to fussy cut a carrot because right now that's the only thing that's missing. And that just wouldn't be right. Poor little reindeer don't get a treat. Okay, fussy cut this quickly. Is so small. I am going to use my Stampin' Right marker instead of a blend. So this is just some sweet sorbet because it's nice and inky. This is not the end that I meant to use. We're gonna go with the fine tip end. Should I color that part? I think I'm gonna leave it. Die cut this cookie. We'll die cut some milk. So with this die, you can probably see that it die cuts a little line there. So you can choose whether you want to have your glass full, half full, or not. This is going to go in there. I know you can't see the glimmer. You can't really see the bubbles. I've removed the release paper, which I didn't need to do yet. I think I'm just gonna cut this instead of die cutting it. It's not quite dry yet, so I need to be very careful. Now I think I'm also going to die cut just a scrap of white that we can put this on, just so that we don't see red through here when we do mount it. You know what? I am going to trace the outline, or you probably can't even see what I'm doing. So just so that I don't have a cut in there, I am just going to trace that outline and then cut it out. I can erase the pencil line, or I can just turn it over, and it will be our little secret that there's pencil on there. Sparkly milk. And then I'm just going to add a little dab of glue. Maybe where those bubbles are. And then I'll pick that up with my take your pick tool so I don't smear my ink. Oh, there we go. You might be able to get the idea that that's supposed to be milk, but maybe not. Our cookie. So we've got our letter, our cookie, our milk. Like, how genius is that? I am thinking that with the flowers and leaves punch, if we have just a little scrap, we could actually just punch it and color it. Okay, so there's the carrot. I didn't want to make this too complicated, but you could just color or fussy cut. Okay, we'll use that as the top and we'll just cut ourselves a little carrot. I almost did mushroom. Let's, instead of coloring that piece. Okay, so I have a little scrap of shaded spruce here. We'll do the top from the larger leaves and the smaller one. We'll see which one works better. And then just fussy cut some carrot. Now it needs to be kind of in context of the leaves, right? There we go. Now, I wish you could tell me which one we should use. We could use both. Kind of thinking the little one might be better. I'm gonna use both. And we'll go just a little bit extra because you all know I'm extra. So let's take our pumpkin pie Stampin' Blend and just add some little lines as if it's a real carrot. And then I'll just extra. We'll just go around the outside. I mean, if we're gonna go this far, right? And who knows, this could become like a family heirloom. I wouldn't go that far, but you never know. I can't stop. I can't. Okay, so we'll just make it look a little more realistic. So it's not just one big hunk of cardstock. Now, if you are new to Stampin' Up or maybe Stampin' Right markers, you should know that they are refillable. So mine is running low on the fine tip side, but there's lots on this end. So let's do that. But the same ink refill that will refill your ink pad will also refill your Stampin' Right marker. You're just gonna pop the brush off and put your ink in there. I've never actually done this side, but it's always that end that ends up dry. Okay, so we're gonna add a little dab on this leaf and put it underneath. Oh, this is so stinking cute. And then one dab on there, and then it probably makes it look a little more realistic. Maybe not entirely. If I take my add it so it kind of looks like it's indented a little bit. Add some definition here. Oh my goodness. So cute. Now, let's assemble. So we've got Believe in the Magic. I will dry fit all this. I am keeping my boxes on there and you're probably thinking, why aren't you moving them? But it's because I want to make sure that all of this stays above the boxes. You want to be able to read this, right? So let's put our letter over here. It could cover up a tiny bit of that B. We'll put our milk so that it's like resting on the boxes. We'll put our cookie, which is very big in comparison, and then our carrot. What do you think? I love it. I hope you love it. I will, like I said, I will link to Sam's video for the making of the actual boxes. You saw my measurements here for the outside. and I will try to link to Mikaela's blog post, or maybe share a picture of her original creation, because like I said, this is not mine. But I will pop these up so that there's a little bit of dimension, and let me place this all there so you can see it. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hop on through the whole video hop, and I hope to see you soon, my crafty friends. Bye.